You know that feeling, that familiar heat when it starts rising in your chest when a relative makes that comment again? The holiday dinner you spent hours cooking is on the verge of being a wreck. At the same time, an argument, that old argument starts, and you start feeling powerless to stop it. That holiday rage starts bubbling up, and you're terrified that it's going to ruin everything. For years, you've probably been told that your anger is the problem, a flaw you need to fix, hide, or just swallow down. But what if I told you that anger isn't the problem at all? What if it's actually a superpower? It's a guidance system that's built in to help you have a better holiday and as well as an authentic life. We're going to help you to learn to listen to your anger and to learn how to use it to transform your holiday spirit. And we're going to do that in just one moment. Hi there. Welcome to Stress Talk Live. This is the place where we help women over 40 to live healthier lives through strategic stress management and solution focused self care. I'm your host, Marcyline Bailey, and I am so happy that you decided to join me today. Before we get started, because I have lots and lots of information to share with you today about anger and how it actually is a superpower, I want to ask you to like, follow, and subscribe to ML Bailey Consultants on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Now, what I'd really like for you to do is to subscribe to YouTube. I am uploading meditations, guided meditations every week. And these are not just quick ones, things that, quick meditations. These are 20, 15, 20 minutes and longer. So I uploaded one last week and I'm uploading another one on Thursday. Thursday is the day. So I want you to make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel at ML Bailey Consultants. Also, I have a download for you, a free download that will help you to get a better handle on your stress. So, what are we talking about today? We are talking about why your holiday anger is actually a superpower. I'll bet you didn't know that, did you? I'll bet you've been trying to figure out how not to get angry during the holiday, knowing that something's going to just tick you off and then there it goes. Well, I'm going to share with you why it is actually a superpower. And I'm also going to give you some ways in which you can actually use that superpower to your advantage, not only during the holidays, but in the future, right? Okay, so let's get started because I have lots of stuff. And as usual, my notes are on that side, but it's probably pointing this way. So my notes are to the side. If I'm looking this way, I'm looking at my notes because I want to make sure that you get everything that you need. Well, let's talk about the problem at hand. Okay, we're talking about anger, and let's talk about the problem. What is actually the problem? The problem at hand. Well, the problem at hand is I have a new setup. So here we go. The high cost of anger, right? When we get angry, there's a big cost to it, especially around the holidays, because we're with our family and close friends. One of the things that we look at the holidays in a certain way. The holidays are supposed to be a time of joy and happiness, and a time where we are connected to our family and to our friends. The thing is, it's also a pressure cooker for stress because there's so much going on all the time in our lives, right? And when we get around the holidays, there's a lot of emotions that we're experiencing. We start thinking about losses. We start thinking about things that we wanted to do but might not have been able to do. We start thinking about all kinds of things. And because of that, we are under a lot of pressure. And when it comes to being with our family and with our friends, we feel obligated to do so. But I mean, let's just be real. We may not be feeling it, right? We may not be feeling it. We might, but we feel we have to. And not only do we feel that we have to, we feel obligated to do so. Others are make us feel obliged to be with our family, right? During the holidays. Although sometimes it's better to step away. There's family drama, especially during this time, this year. Excuse me, there's so much family drama. We're hearing and people are talking about how they don't even talk to family members now. A lot of it has to do with the political climate and what people believe or don't believe. And because of that, they're not even talking to their family members. Last year was the same way. Before the election, people were not talking to their family members. And I've shared this that I think that's very difficult. I think it's hard. I think it's hurtful when we cannot even talk to our family because we have such staunch disagreements with them, regardless of what those disagreements are. So there's family drama during the holidays, and it's magnified now because of the climate that we're living in. That's a big cost. It's a big cost that our anger influences. We also have to be aware of how much we are juggling. If I had some balls, I would try to juggle them, but I'm just going to pretend I'm juggling, right? Without dropping anything. I'm just pretending I'm juggling. If I were not, if I had balls in my hand, they'd be everywhere because I'm not good. I'm not that good of a juggler. However, what are we juggling? We're juggling our worries about money. Many people have lost their jobs. The cost of living has gone up, and very few people have had increases in pay or salary. So there's money worries. Starting to juggle again. Schedules during the holidays are packed, right? We are going from place to place. We're trying to finish certain things so that we're prepared for our guests to come, or we're prepared to travel, or we're prepared for having people in our home. And we're trying to get all of these things done in a small amount of time. And then what happens? Things may shift. The schedule may shift. The plans may shift. That throws a monkey wrench into a lot of holiday plans when things change, right? So not only are you concerned about money, you're concerned about getting things done in a limited amount of time, and you're also concerned that things might change, or somebody calls and say, "Hey, I'm not going to make it," or "Hey, I'm bringing 3 people with me. It's not just going to be me," right? So things change. But we're also juggling our thoughts, our concerns, our ghosts from the past. Those ghosts that pop up, just like with Scrooge, the ghosts from the past start become more. alive in our minds and in our imagination, and we start thinking about them constantly. And that has a lot to do with our emotional state. So, the holidays are supposed to be a time of joy, happiness, and connection with our families, but we are pressured under a lot of stress to make sure that it is joyous and it is happy and there is connection, but there are also things that influence that and impact that. Not only that, we're juggling. We're juggling time, we're juggling money, we're juggling those thoughts about our past that we have to contend with. Then, in the midst of being with family, in the midst of juggling all of this stuff, here we are, we're hit with anger rises. We can feel it. You know, you get hot and it just starts rising. That heat starts to rise. And it only takes one sharp comment, just one comment, one look, and that those things can ruin the moment, not only for you, but for everyone else. Just one comment, one look. The mood is gone. The event, whatever's happened, is sinking, and it just ruins the moment. And that comment may not come from you, it may come from anybody, any of the family members or friends that you're with. And then when that happens, it just sucks all the air out of the room. It turns everything cold, and there's a lot of tension. We've been there, right? Have you been there? I've been there. When it just sucks the life out of it. Just one statement. What we tend to do, our response to that statement, because we've been, worried, because we've been juggling, what we tend to do is we start to replay everything in our heads. We start to ruminate. We call those ruminating thoughts, where we start to replay over and over and over again everything in our heads. What happened, who said what, how did they say it, how everyone responded. Then, because we're human, we start to beat ourselves up because of our reaction. We beat ourselves up because we lost our cool. We beat ourselves up because we ruined the moment. Or we just bottle it in. We clench it and we push it down, right? And we bury it until we get angry the next time and we blow up. All of these responses and these reactions lead us to feel guilty. Why? Because we feel as if we've failed. Here we are with family and we've screwed it up again. We got angry, we got mad, we said something we shouldn't have, and we ruined everything. We're no longer joyous, we're no longer happy, we're no longer connected. We failed. I failed to be Mary, I failed to keep the peace, I failed to be the person I'm supposed to be during what? The most wonderful time of the year, right? Yeah, I failed. And so I'm trying to figure out what to do. How am I going to make it better? How am I going to stop all of this? How am I going to fix it? I don't know. The one thing I do know is that trying to suppress all that anger is tiresome. And research tells us that chronically bottling up strong emotions can be the avenue to higher anxiety and poor health. And so it makes total sense if you feel that way to let some of that out. But the problem isn't that you feel angry. The problem is no one ever taught you what anger is trying to tell you. And that is very key. That's what we're going to learn today in today's session. So let's continue. Let's go on. Let's talk about. Oh, before I go on, let me ask you, and I want you all to just drop it in the comment section. Those of you who are watching live, as well as those of you who are watching the replay, I want you to tell me which part of that, all of what I've shared with you, which part of that hits home. The high cost of anger, of holiday anger, which part of that hits home to you? Was it the part about replaying the arguments in your head, replaying it over and over again? Was it talking about the guilt or the exhaustion? I'd like for you to share your experiences in the comment section. So, a lot of us have things that we like to see if other people have had experiences that are similar to our own. So let's go on to the second topic, reframe. Let's talk about reframing. Anger, and I'm talking about anger as an intelligent signal. We're talking about a lot of things, signals and intelligentsia, and how paying attention, knowing what to do is really important. So we're going to flip the script here, okay? I'm flipping the script. And I want to ask you a question. This is a very simple question. What if the anger you've been taught to fear, what if the anger you've been taught to fear is not a flaw? We've been taught we shouldn't be angry, we shouldn't express anger. But what if it isn't a flaw? What if it's an intelligent signal? Jot that down in your notes. What if it's an intelligent signal? Think of anger as a built-in alarm that's in your body. We have alarm clocks. We have alarms on our phones. Oops, we have alarms on our phones. And what if anger is a built-in alarm? So think about anger like this. Anger can be a messenger. It's a messenger. Anger sends us a signal that something important to us is being threatened. Something important to us is being threatened. We get that's a message that we get when we're angry. It's something that we hold very dear, something that we value. It signals when a need is not getting met. We get angry when a need that we have is not getting met. It also signals us when a boundary that we've set has been crossed. So anger really is a messenger, and it's telling us these things, that something important is being threatened, that something we value and hold dear is in danger, that our needs are not getting met, and that a boundary has been crossed. That's what anger tells us. Think about this. Think about a car as an example. What happens when the check engine light comes on? Let's say the check engine light comes on and it tells you, that's giving you a warning. It's a warning signal that something is wrong and you need to check your engine. And if you don't check it, something bad is going to happen. Anger is very similar. Anger is like that check engine light that pops up in your car. It's like it tells you that it tells you that something is going on and you need to address it. That's what it tells you. The thing about it is we think of anger as something that's bad, but anger is really our part of our internal guidance system. It helps to guide us, it helps to protect us, and it helps us to stay safe. So you can also think of it as part of our survival kit. Anger is connected to the stress response. And I talk about the stress response all the time. Why? Because this is stress talk. So I talk about the stress response all the time. And so it's part of our survival mechanism. The thing is, when unlike the computer, we can't unplug and plug it back in. And unlike the check engine light, we can't just ignore it, because sometimes we do ignore it. But we want to and need to understand what's wrong so that we can fix it. This is part of what we tend not to do. If we don't know what's wrong, we can't fix it. Think about your car again. When the check engine light comes on, you need to figure out what's going on with your engine, or it could burn out. It could burn up. Your car could catch on fire because it may not have oil in it. It may not have coolant in it. So your engine could actually burn up, overheat and burn up. Unexpressed anger is like that. When we don't express anger and when we do not know the cause of it so we can fix it and deal with it, it can morph into something else. Just like the check engine light is warning us of something, that our anger is also warning us of something. When our anger morphs into something else, we can become passive aggressive. And I'm sure you all know what that is. And I'm sure you may have been passive aggressive at some time, or you've experienced it. But it can morph into being passive aggressiveness, which can taint your relationships. It also can morph into cynicism, where you're just cynical about everything. And third, it can be a constant irritation that just simmers right below the surface in a way that you cannot get rid of, but also it's ready to boil over. And when it boils over, it's not good. Your anger is trying to protect you. It's screaming, hey, pay attention. Something here is not right. It's inviting you to get curious and look a little bit deeper. And when you start seeing anger this way, it's not as destructive as rage, but it's a vital piece of information that allows you to take your power back. You're no longer the victim. You can use it to empower you. You can use it to make yourself stronger. Okay? So before I go to the final section, I want you all to please let me know. What do you think about this reframe? What did you think about it? Do you think it's a shift? It's a shift to see. It's good to see anger as an ally as opposed to an enemy. Drop those thoughts in the comments. And again, for those of you who are watching live, as well as for those of you who are watching the replay, drop it into the comment section. I'm really curious to know what you think about this reframe, as anger as your superpower, anger as a friend, as an ally. Also, let me know, what is your check engine light telling you? Your body check engine light. What is it telling you? I'm curious to know that as well. So let's continue. I hope you are enjoying this because I certainly am. It's so fascinating to me, and I'm hoping that it's going to be a big help to you as we are into the holiday season. So let's talk about how to use this superpower that we've just discovered. Okay, so number one, the very second that you feel that heat rising, because we do feel it, y'all. We feel it. Raise your hand. No, drop in the comment section. Me. Drop the word me if you can feel the heat rising when you're about to get angry. So the very because I'm gonna drop it. Me, I'm just saying it. The very second that you notice that heat rising, I want you to pause. I don't want you to react. Try your hardest not to react because some of us are like, boom, we react and it causes all kinds of problems. I've done that. I've actually done that recently and I had to be spoken to. So, because I reacted, I wasn't thinking. So, although I'm sharing this with you, these are things that I have to work on too. And these are things that I try to use too, also, because I believe that they help. Okay. They help when we use them. You have to use it. When you don't use it, then other stuff happens. So, but take when you the second you feel that heat rising, um, resist reacting. Try not to react. Just pause. Pause a moment. Now, in my situation that happened recently, I knew to pause. I knew better. I knew that I needed to pause, and yet I didn't. There was something in me on that day that I just didn't. Pause and be curious. Ask questions. Ask questions of yourself. Literally take a deep breath. A deep breath and slowly exhale it. Let it out. When we can do that, we create a gap that is so important, that is so vital. That gap is between what triggered you and your response. That gap gives you a moment to really process it. And you can process it with a simple question. And that simple question is, what is my anger? What is this anger right now really telling me? What is this anger right now really telling me? You may be surprised by the answer, but that gap and that question are very important because that gap and that question are going to prevent you from reacting and causing a multitude of problems that you did not intend to cause. So take a breath and gain your power. And that power is the gap that allows you to be curious. And you can ask that question, right? Okay. Then think of the answer because anger is really the bodyguard. Anger is your bodyguard for the vulnerability that you might be feeling at the moment. And I'm going to say, in my situation, I felt very vulnerable at that moment. I did. I felt vulnerable. I just did not, I did not react in the way that I should have. This way, had I done that, had I taken a breath, Had I asked the question, I would have created that gap and I would have responded differently. But when you ask yourself that question, what is this anger really telling me? Think about what it does, what it is telling you. Is it saying that, are you feeling hurt? Are you feeling disrespected? Dis. Are you feeling disrespected? Are you feeling afraid? Are you feeling vulnerable? What is it telling you? That's very important because if you know that, you know how to address it. Not only what you're feeling, you know how to address the you know how to address the event. That's the first thing. You're decoding the signal. Okay? First thing. The second thing is to set the boundary. Take action, right? Anger, I'm going to read this from my note. Anger is often a sign that a boundary needs to be drawn or reinforced. Now, when we think about boundaries, we sometimes think about boundaries as walls that keep people out or punish others. That's not what a boundary is for. A boundary is in place to protect our peace. That's what the boundary does. It could be a line, it could be a picket fence, it could be a chain link fence in your mind, right? It could be a wooden fence, it could be a cinder block fence, but it's to protect your peace. That's what a boundary does. When we set boundaries, that's one of the highest forms of self care that we can do, that we can take. It's a highest form of self care as well as a high form of self respect when we set boundaries that help us maintain our own peace. And I know that communicating boundaries is difficult. It's difficult for a lot of people, but we can practice that. We can actually practice it and we can become really good at setting boundaries. During the holidays, it's very important to do so, even though it is scary. It's important to set good boundaries and to maintain those boundaries. How do you do that? First, you need to be clear and firm, and then use I statements. I statements are is using an I statement is a way of communicating in without blaming other people. You're able to get your message across. You're able to state what you need. You're able to state what the issue is. You're also able to state what you want in the future. Those are I statements. So it's important for us to be clear, to be kind, to be firm, and to use I statements. That's how you set good boundaries. So, how to use your superpower? First, you decode the signal, you set the boundary, and then finally, you channel energy. First, think about this. Anger is energy. When we get angry, we have a lot of energy. That's because the stress response has kicked in. And if you've heard me say this once, you've heard me say it 1,000 times. The stress response is a physical response to an unspecified stimulus. Because it is a physical response, we literally are ready to move physically. And if we don't, we will explode. So it's important for us to channel that energy, that anger energy, into something else. So you want to what? Channel it into something that's very useful. Like some people bake bread, and so they have to knead the bread. Do you know if you've ever kneaded bread? It's like boom, you got to really you're putting you're putting a lot of energy into what you're doing, right? The other thing is that you give yourself a healthy outlet. After you've paused, after you set a boundary, you give yourself a healthy outlet. Some people will move. Just move. Go for a walk. Go for a run. Do something to get that energy out. Create something. If you are creative, write. You like to write. Write. If you are an artist, do your art. If you are a painter, paint. If you play music, play your music. If you like to dance, dance. That's movement. If you're a baker, do something where you have to really beat something in a bowl or knead dough, right? Do something that's physical. But you can also have a proactive conversation using I statements with the person who made you or caused you to be angry. So, these, I wanted to give you, um, I wanted to also share with you, um, I'm sorry. I also wanted to let you know that these steps are not always easy, but they are very practical and they're very, very helpful. So, I have just talked about what do you think? What do you think, you all? This is really something. I really hope that you are enjoying this. And I hope that it is very helpful to you. But I have just talked about why your holiday anger is actually a superpower. I've gone over a little bit, but I hope it's helpful. I shared with you the high cost of holiday anger. I've shared with you anger as an intelligence signal. And I've also demonstrated and shared how to use your superpower. I want you to keep in mind that your whole life you may have seen your anger as a character flaw or a sign that you're not patient enough, festive enough, or just plain good enough. But that story simply isn't true. Your anger is not your enemy, it's your ally. It's an intelligent system trying to guide you back to yourself. It's a messenger pointing directly to the parts of your life that need more attention, better boundaries, and even your own care. So, this holiday season, I invite you to stop fighting your anger and instead get quiet and listen to it. See it as the superpower it is, like that one thing that can help you identify your needs, honor your limits, and build healthier, more honest relationships. You get to move from feeling flawed and out of control to feeling empowered and insightful. Wow. Well, ladies, and I'm sure I have a few gents out there. That's all for now. Thanks for hanging in there with me. I know I've gone over time, but I hope this has been helpful for you. And I hope that you will join me next time on Stress Talk Live. I'm Marcyline Bailey. As always, take good care.